ever so often, guys, we as community of geeks and things like that, we get a good show. And that show, once again, is in the form of The Walking Dead. How's everybody doing out there? Here I am once again giving you my review of season 2 of The Walking Dead. Now, I'm probably not the only one that's doing it, and I know I'm not. But let's put it like this. What a great show this was. This season, they were right about what they said. This season in Walking Dead, they were not pulling any punches. They went in full force and gave us great entertainment in this season. We saw great character development as well as things that we all saw coming. For example, the downfall of Shane. Now, if you are a fan of the books and the show, you all should have known this was coming in a way. We saw just very good character development between a lot of the characters, and it really just was a really good show. From basically, Carl getting shot, from, what happened to a character known as Sophia. We saw look what happened to Sophia. Man, that was the biggest kicker right there of what happened to her. I mean, when we saw that, when she walked out of the barn, it was like, oh my God. We didn't even know she got bit, but what we found out later, what happened now, why it caused her to change, and I'm gonna get into that later. Man, it's hard to really explain a best episode in this, but the cast, everybody really shined in this cast. There were some people that didn't really spot on too much, but they still were part of the cast. Glenn had a big spotlight in this season. He really did. Of course, Adrian had a big spot, and Dale, he really stepped up in this episode before his previous demise. And Carl really stepped up, but some people say in a bad way, and of course, you can't say anything bad about Rick. Rick was this self-proclaimed leader that just tried to keep everybody together. We were introduced to some new characters, like Herschel, who him and his family had a farm, and they pretty much kept it like, it was all kosher until, we found out what Herschel was doing and what he was keeping on his farm. But yeah, overall, it was Shane that really just went from being the great partner of Rick to, let's just put it, I guess you could say any kind of villain like Sinestro or somebody like that. He just went to the dark side. Let me put it like that. He went from being Anakin Skywalker to Darth Vader in a way. He just really took a U-turn, and he was on that path of enlightenment, and then was like, fuck it, I'm going to the dark side. And we saw that through every episode. It just kept building and building and building. Just really started to build, and I was very appreciative where they was taking his character, but I didn't think they were going to go there so soon. Because granted, guys, I only read the first couple of issues of Walking Dead. I haven't read anything up until a certain character. I'm forgetting her name right now, but we just saw like a lot of things started changing, almost to the point where it looked like the team was going to break, like a lot of dissension in the ranks because of certain things that were going to happen. Like, for example, the episode where Rick, Herschel, and Glenn were being hold tied down by another group of survivors when they walked in and they were trying to kill them. And, I remember that episode really good because when they came into that bar where Herschel was, because he couldn't stand what happened with what the gang did with all those, walkers that were on his farm that he was keeping. I guess that was his family. We saw two other survivors coming in. We all could have known that they weren't on the up and up. They were bad, just by looking at them. And Rick got a suspicion, being a cop, you kind of get that sixth sense that something's not right. And we saw, Rick take it into his hand of doing what he had to do, to keep Glenn and Herschel alive. And that's when we saw them fight off this group and leave one of their own behind. And boy, did they leave him behind. I mean, that was some serious shit right there. That kid Russell, I think that was his name. He basically landed. Even Malcolm even said it. He's like, oh, he's not walking. My bro even said that, like, when yeah, when he jumped off the roof, he was like, Malcolm was like, oh, he's hurt. We thought his leg was broke, but we didn't think it was impaled through a gate. That was some serious stuff right there. And they basically had to just take him and amputate him, And then that's where we started to see more of the dissension. Like, he's a bad guy, the Shane's like, let's kill him. Rick's like, no, let's not do that. We're not killers and things like that. And we started to see more and more of, Shane's like forceful, especially because of Lori. He loved Lori, and when he thought Rick was dead. In a way, we you know what? In a way, Shane, he kind of, it was kind of bad because Shane, in a way, didn't even come back for Rick. He just thought he was dead, and in a way, that's like, that's some kind of friend. That's your partner, right? That was your best friend. That's your childhood friend. And we saw finally Rick and Shane come to blows in an episode. And I think like the fourth to final episode, we saw them finally come to blows. And they just duked it out. And Rick, after a while, Rick got the upper hand, and then Shane gonna try to throw a monkey wrench at him or some shit like that, and they caused walkers to arrive, and when it looked like Shane was gonna die there, Rick came back for him. And the last couple of episodes, it focused on mainly, are we gonna keep this guy alive, or are we gonna let him free? And then that's basically when Dale really stepped in and was like, we can't kill this guy. What makes us better than him? And then we see more of what Carl's going through. That was also the focus of the season, especially with Rick, is like, Carl's kind of evolution from being this timid little boy, kind of growing up really fast into a man, especially into this. Yeah, basically in a way, Shane kind of became, Carl became in a way kind of like how Bruce Wayne became, very fast. He grew up very fast, and especially in this world, and not trying to basically enjoying his childhood. But we also started to see that he was growing up fast, not in a good way. He started to talk back to his parents. He didn't like what was going on. He would run away and certain things like that. It really had a lot of great character development, but it was just like, sometimes, I don't agree with beating people, but I think in this time it was like Carl needs a trip to the woodshed, for a while. He's in my world, you don't talk back to your parents in that manner as how he was doing it. And we saw some things that kind of Carl caused. in a way, Carl kind of caused, for example, Dale's death. In a way, there was a walker that he saw trapped in mud. It got free, and that walker is the same walker that killed Dale. And we saw some funerals. We saw a couple of funerals here in this episode. It was very, very intense, and that's where in the final episode, in a couple of the last to final episode of the season, we saw Shane kind of make his move once again. He took the character Russell, and that he was going to free him because basically Rick said let him go, and he killed him. Now that was Rick's. He basically set that up for Rick to investigate so Shane could do his deed. Shane was going to kill him. And he even personified to Rick, like, you know what, you suck as a father. I'd be a better father to Shane and better husband. I mean, I keep saying Shane to Carl and Lori. And Rick kind of, they put their gun, and Rick, that's when Rick killed him, stabbed him right through the heart. However, Carl saw that, and all of a sudden we saw Shane come back, but as a walker, as a zombie. And that's where, basically, like in the comic books, Carl shot him, but not in the neck, like in the comics. Carl shot Shane in the neck in the comics. I remember that. And that's what led us up to this episode now. The last final episode. And the final episode was pretty much Armageddon. Basically, Herschel's farm is basically overrun by walkers, and we saw some deaths, some more deaths, and just a lot of things happen. And then that's where we got to see what that CDC doctor told Rick at the end of the first season, that they're all infected, and that is why Russell changed, why Shane changed, and probably why the little girl Sophia changed. After they die, they turn. So it was like, whoa. And a lot of the team kind of resented Rick from keeping that from them. And that's when Rick gave this big speech about, like, you want to go out there, go on yourself. Go ahead. He didn't ask to be leader, but he's going to do it. He even professed that, yeah, he killed Shane. He even said, I killed my best friend, and things like that. And it left us with a cliffhanger of, like, what is going to happen now. In terms of Lori or Adriana, we saw another character from the series that is coming in. I'm not going to spoil who that is. The hooded woman, I'm not going to spoil who that was, but she's going to lead into season 3. Like I said, guys, I'm sorry that I went from all over, but overall, season 2 was just fantastic. What a season it was. A lot of character development, as always. This series has just been knocking it out of the parks. Every episode, never an RBI, always a home run, in my opinion. It was just fantastic, guys. I've really been enjoying this series. Thumbs up to all the people behind this. Thumbs up to the cast, and thumbs up to what happens next season. What I can tell you about next season is, I'm going to tell you basically the villain. From what I hear, the villain is going to be the governor. He's going to play the main villain in the next season. So, but we got to wait till next fall for that season. This fall. But other than that, you guys tell me what you thought overall of the season of Walking Dead. Did you like it? Or did you was like, oh, there were some episodes that were But if you were like me and geeked out pretty much, I want to hear from you guys. Guys, I love input. But other than that, thanks for listening. You guys take care.